The Quasimodo. The Quasimodo is simply a bead-headed pheasant tail nymph tied on a curved hook. This gives it its hunchback look. Looks a little bit like Charles Lawton. In the water, the fly gives the impression of squirming. It works great. It's a universal fly that it works great in both fast and still water. It also works very well as a dropper. Okay, to tie the Quasimodo, we're going to use a Dairiki 135 size 18 scud hook. For weight, we're going to use some copper beads. We're going to use tungsten 3/32. For thread, we're going to use a Vivas 12/0 and a tan. For the ribbing, we're going to use ultra wire, small size in copper. For the wing pad, we're going to use a pearl tinsel, large. For the body and tail, we're going to use a pheasant tail fiber from the tail. For the thorax, we're going to use peacock herring. And for the wings, we're going to use a tan, brownish Indian hen hackle. Okay, I've already mounted my hook in the vise at a slight angle to make it a little easier to put on the tail. Start my thread behind the bead. Come down the shank to a point about halfway down the bend. You want to make sure it gets that humpback look. Put just a little nodule right here, a little node. That'll help splay the pheasant tail fibers. Okay, I'm going to take about 4 fibers, 4 or 5. This will become my tail. I want to make sure the tips are fairly even. I'm going to use a couple pinch wraps right here to put the pheasant tail, make sure it's on top of the shank. And then we'll wind it on down the shank a little bit and pull it to size. Okay, then I'm going to bend back the fibers and wrap over the top of them, hold them in place. And we'll come down and we'll get ready to put our ribbing on, our wire. Okay, and we'll bring the thread all the way back to the bead. And I'm going to readjust my hook in the vise. And I'm going to pull the pheasant tail fibers forward. I don't want too big of a body, too big of a silhouette, so I'm going to clip off all but 2 of those fibers. Okay, then we'll start bringing the peacock herring forward. The pheasant tail fibers. And we'll tie them off right behind the bead. clip off our pheasant tails, and then we can bring our ribbing forward. And we're winding it backwards, or we want to enforce the stems of the pheasant tail. Clip it off. And make sure that little tag end comes over the top there. We'll lay a small base of thread, not too thick. And we can put on our wing pad. Making sure that's on top of the hook shank. And we want to go down about a third of the way down the shank. And we're ready for our thorax. If you'll notice on the peacock herald, there's one side that has a little bit more of herald or fiber on it. We want to make sure when we wind this on the hook that we get that side up so we get a nice fluffy appearance. Okay, we can tie off our peacock herald. Clip it, and we're ready for our wings. In this case, we're going to make them legs. You take a hackle, clip a V in it, and we'll strip down the fibers on both sides until we have something that looks like this. This will become our legs. Place it on top of the hook with a little bit of the stem under the thread. Straighten it up, make sure our legs are going to be in the right place. We can bring the wing pad over and make one turn, just enough to hold it in place. Then we can start pulling our legs forward. Until we get them in the position and the length that we want. We're going to make them just about the length of the body. Make one more turn over the top. And let's make a couple wraps in front. Clip off our wing pad and stems of our legs. Going to make one whip finish to hold this in place. One or two. We're going to add a little super glue to make sure that those wings have are sturdy, and we got a good solid head. And we can clip our thread.